Game with Gill Alexander, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network.
He's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
Analytics, statistics, and more are used to win wagers, and Gill has every number you need to cash your tickets. Now, live from the VSiN studios in the South Point Hotel and Casino, it's Gill Alexander.
Good morning, everybody. It is a numbers game right here at VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204, VSiN.com, the VSiN app, Fubo, Sling, and Game Plus throughout Canada and New York City. It's where sports betting analytics live, actionable sports betting information. Producer number 5. By the way, did I say I'm Gill Alexander? I think I did. Producer number 5, Jeff Parles, or in the French, Jeff Speaks, is here as well. Good morning to you, Jeffrey. How are you, sir?
Very good, Gil. Very good. I'm doing well. Doing well today.
You and I, we sat there. We watched baseball yesterday all day over at the Aria. Among other highlights, you witnessed my father attempting to FaceTime me, and within 5 seconds, before he even said hello, what did he say to me?
Why don't you shave?
Why don't you shave? You go on the TV and you don't shave. So I didn't shave, just because of that. So, and then, of course, they do the FaceTime, my mom and my dad, where they put it right in between them, so I only see half of their faces, and they really can't adjust when I try to give them direction. But we watched baseball all day yesterday, some to the good, some to the bad. We'll talk about that momentarily. Today's show, it's about as seamless and straightforward and as solid as it can be. Michael Lombardi and Bill Krackomberger. Bingo, bango. End of story. That's all we need. So, Michael Lombardi, I will basically do a brain dump of all my neurotic football questions for him, and he will dutifully answer them. We'll talk to Lombardi here this hour. And then Krackman, fresh off his appearance at the Manny Pacquiao fight last week, in which he sat next to Kawhi Leonard and right in front of Floyd Mayweather. We'll ask about that, Floyd Mayweather Jr. And you noticed that Kawhi was wearing his Spurs championship ring.
Yeah, and the picture that will show when Crack comes on in the second hour, you'll see that Kawhi Leonard is wearing his Spurs championship ring.
All right, well, what does Kawhi care? Because he's not a member of the Raptors anymore, right? So it doesn't matter which one he wears. He's like, I got two. I'll just wear this one tonight. It's not like he's still with the Raptors.
All I can tell you is if he ever wins one with the Clippers,
yeah,
Ballmer's going to make sure that ring is about 17 times the size of that Spurs one.
Steve Ballmer's enthusiasm at the Kawhi Paul George introductory press conference is just infectious, phenomenal. Everybody should have an owner that enthusiastic. First baseball, though, today, a shortish getaway day, 9-game slate in Major League Baseball. Yesterday, not as many dramatic finishes as the two previous nights. But I will say this, last night, I don't know if you saw this, Jeff. Late in that Dodgers game, do you see the Cody Bellinger at-bat in the Dodgers-Angels game? 2 calls where he got strike calls where the pitch was at least a couple baseballs off the plate. And Bellinger lost his mind, rightfully. So when he got the third strike, he just walked off. But then he started screaming from the dugout, got tossed. And you just wondered, also the first at-bat of that game with Jock Peterson, it was a 3-0 count, and then it ended up in a strikeout, also questionable calls. Just with these, big-time sports, we're betting on them, and we still got umps, just kind of casually like, yeah, I guess that was a strike. And I do wonder if that Atlantic League experiment will make its way upward at some point. I know there's a huge umpire lobby on this stuff, but, man, you do not want a playoff game with the legalization of sports betting layer added to it that ends in controversy like this. Yes, sir.
It would be a disservice to the game if it doesn't end up in the major leagues within the next few years.
Yeah, but the thing is, it took them ages to just do did it land fair or foul, right? We have the technology. We can rebuild it. I might have stolen that from a show. But it's just ridiculous, right? We have the means. I get it. You guys have jobs, but we got to get this right. We can get it right. Why don't we? Baseball today, 2-day games in the 9-game slate, beginning with the Padres at the Mets. Getaway day in Queens. Eric Lauer, the lefty, going for the Padres. Jacob of the Grom for the Mets. Mets are minus 200 here. And as we like to say, Jacob deGrom, good at baseball. As you look at his advanced stats here. Jeff Parles will have a pick today. Did you get your pick right yesterday?
Oh, no, I got beat down in my pick yesterday. Even though it was a profitable day yesterday, because the one I didn't give on the air was Shane Bieber, and Bieber threw a one-hitter.
You went over in the Royals game?
Oh, I got it. 2-0.
Not so much.
That was not so much.
DeGrom for the Mets this morning, by the way. 122 innings pitched thus far this year. The strand rate is 81.2%. The ERA is 3.02, and the advanced stats are just as good. 3.05 fielding independent, 3.32 xFIP. The K rate is 31%. The swinging strike rate is 15.1%. Pretty good. And the soft contact rate, here's the thing, 22.4%. That's the thing about Jacob DeGrom. He induces a lot of soft contact even when the batter is making contact with the baseball. So 22.4%. And that is why, all of those reasons are why DeGrom is right at minus 200 for the Metropolitans this morning. Total in that game is at 7.5. That's a 12:10 Eastern, Eastern, 9:10 Pacific start in Queens. St. Louis is at Pittsburgh. It's also a day game from PNC. Miles Michaelis and the Cardinals. Cardinals right now, if the playoffs were to start again, they're in the wild card number 2 position. They would be playing the Nationals. Obviously, much baseball to be played. It's quite premature, but as the trade deadline approaches, these things are always interesting to determine what teams are going to do what. Cardinals were basically facing position player pitchers by the 7th last night against the Pirates. That's how that game got out of hand. What was it, a 9-run second for the Cardinals yesterday, I believe it was?
Had 8 extra base hits in that inning.
That's pretty good. Cardinals are plus 108 in this game at Pittsburgh. Again, Michaelis against Musgrove. As you called it before the show, a battle of mediocrity. Pittsburgh's at minus 118 now, consensus. It was a coin flip overnight, so a little money on the Pirates in this one. Musgrove, the thing about him, 64.7% strand rate, which is really low. He's not keeping guys on base. The home run to fly ball rate has been really fortunate at 9.3%. So basically the xFIP's 4.51, not good. The hard contact rate is north of 40%, not good. Michaelis, the home run to fly ball rate has been unfortunate, 17.2%. He doesn't miss a lot of bats, though. 17.4% strikeout rate. The walks have been muted. But again, swinging strike rate of just 9.3%. You're not missing bats. Not a guy you like to put your money behind that confidently on any given night. I assume you are not playing either of those 2 morning games, Jeff Parles.
Consideration on first 5 under in the Mets game.
Because of DeGrom.
Because of DeGrom, and the Mets don't hit random left-handed pitching, which is what Eric Lauer is defined as for me. So that would be a consideration. A big-time stay away from the Pittsburgh Cardinal game. I've had absolutely no read on that series this entire week.
Max Scherzer's on the hill. Jacob DeGrom in the morning. Max Scherzer on the hill this afternoon or this evening in D.C. for the Nationals, taking on the Rockies. As the Nationals, they're going for the sweep here, or do the Rockies get one? I can't remember. Either way, the Nationals getting to sweep. Yes, it is for the sweep. Thank you, Jeff. Nationals minus 300 here with Scherzer. Consensus against Hoffman for the Rockies. Nationals just getting done. Washington Nationals 9 games above 500 at this point in the number 1 wild card position.
Washington Nationals 4 games out of the division.
You know what the best team going right now in Washington is, though? Your Washington Mystics. I'm telling you right now, they're the best team in the WNBA. Not really stepping out on a limb, but kind of stepping out on a limb. Because I don't think they are technically record-wise, but they're great. Nationals, could it be? Could Washington, D.C. have itself a baseball team that could get far in the playoffs? Let's get there first. Scherzer, by the way, just a beautiful, beautiful thing to read his stats. 129 in the third thus far this year. Strand rate north of 80%. Home run to fly ball rate just 8%, which is fortunate. But the xFIP is about a half run higher than the ERA. So ERA is 2.3, FIP is 2.03, the xFIP is 2.83 when you normalize for the home run to fly ball rate. The K rate, 35.2%. Max Scherzer doing Max Scherzer things. The walks are muted. How about that? 35.2% K rate, and the walks just 4.5%. Swinging strike rate, 17.1%. Is that number 1 in baseball, Jeff? 17.1%? Number 1. Soft contact, 19.1%. Pretty darn good, too. 1 game wild card, Scherzer versus Bumgarner. Who you got?
We talked about this at length yesterday.
I mentioned it on air because I think Bumgarner will be.
He'll be like plus, at least open at plus 170 probably.
I think he will be very, very poorly priced. That's my guess. And that will be a bet on Bumgarner.
And it will absolutely be again a bet against the Nationals' playoff failures.
Giants are 3 games out, and I'm like putting them in the wild card game. I know, San Francisco. I'm just trying to make you excited about it. Could happen. You never know. But that would be awesome. 1 game for the postseason. Well, technically they'd be in the postseason, but you get the idea. They go to the division series. That would be very cool. Yankees, Boston. Oh, we have a Yankees Red Sox series tonight. Tanaka and Porcello. You know, there's many people who, when they see a baseball slate betting wise, they see a Yankees Red Sox game, they immediately kind of just write it off, throw out. You just never know with these games. There was a period these games could be like 5 hours long. Tanaka and Porcello tonight. The Yankees were minus 133 overnight. They're about minus 120 now. Tanaka against Porcello in this one. Masahiro Tanaka, 117 innings thus far this year. You know, not really a lot to write home about. 4 is his ERA, and his advanced stats are right around there as well. The walks have been muted, 5.4%. The hard contact is north of 40%. That's not that good. Ricky Porcello, interesting career. Rookie of the year with the Tigers, was a Cy Young Award winner with the Red Sox. And now just kind of, bad Porcello. 63.7% strand rate, really super low. The ERA is 5.61. The xFIP's 5.33. The K rate is anemic at 17.5%. So's the swinging strike rate at 7.8%. Hey, I guess he induces a lot of soft contact. That's fun. Over 21%. That's about the best thing going for him. Yankees, slight favorites. Again, despite what appears to be somewhat of a pitching mismatch, but it's the Yankees and the Red Sox. Bet at your own peril. You're not betting that game, are you, Jeff? No.
No, the last time these two pitchers faced each other, this was the 17-13 London game, Gill.
Yeah. The 17-13 London game. Was that game 1 or game 2 of that?
That was game 1.
Yeah.
Because that was the 11.5 total that went over in the bottom of the first inning.
Oh, yeah. It made no sense, by the way. Because it wasn't like balls were going out of the stadium, right? That was the thought in London. Oh, they're going to go out of the stadium. Nope. There's just a whole bunch of doubles and triples.
That was the series of the big inning.
Yeah.
I mean, there were more than, I think 66% of the innings were zeros, and it still didn't matter. We had the 50 runs in 2 games. It's pretty good.
People in England were like, this is a great sport. What are you talking about? I was like, yeah, this happens every day. Minnesota at the White Sox. Let's just do this last one here, and we'll go to Michael Lombardi. But the reason I pick out the Twins and the White Sox, because good pitching matchup, young pitchers, Berrios and Giolito for the White Sox. The Twins are nursing a 2-game lead now in the American League Central after Shane Bieber threw a complete game 1-hitter for the Tribe last night, getting the Indians within 2 games. That coupled with the Twins' loss to the Yankees. Berrios minus 140 in this one. Berrios, that is. Giolito plus 130 on the dime line coming back here at the South Point Hotel Casino. Total 8.5. Giolito, who was a darling to some around these parts early in the season. Look, 9.1% home run to fly ball rate's very fortunate, and that's why his xFIP is closer to 4 than his ERA is. His ERA is 3.12. The xFIP's 3.92, so almost a run difference. K rate good, 29.7%, but the walks are high, 8.9%. Swinging strike rate good, 14.4%, but again, he's got to stop walking players. And then there is Jose Berrios of the Twins. Good strand rate, 79.1%. Home run to fly ball rate's been fortunate, but it's because of that fortunate 10.7% home run fly ball rate and that good strand rate that his xFIP is 1.5 runs worse than his ERA. ERA is 2.96. Probably not that good. 3.84 FIP, 4.47 xFIP. So component stats, advanced stats, not as good as his conventional ones. Walk rate's good, 5.5%. But that's a tough one as well to call in that game as well. We'll find out what Jeff Parle's baseball pick is later on a short slate in Major League Baseball. Football next. Michael Lombardi, I got questions. He'll have answers next on a numbers game at VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiN Live.
some of what you missed.
How much in the terms of momentum or legs does the 18-game, 16 per player maximum have?
I can't imagine that Tom Brady's going to miss 2 games. I just can't fathom that you have a starting quarterback and you got to rest him for 2 games. And what that would look like is everybody would rest their quarterbacks first 2 weeks of the season and then play the rest of the year. I mean, why I'm not, or maybe rest them in week 17 when the game doesn't matter if you think you can get there. But it's either early or late, but you can't rest them in October or November. There's too much at stake.
So is that shaded a little bit shorter considering there's a lot of smart minds behind the Cornhuskers this year?
Well, let me give all the credit for all this college football stuff to Ed Salmons, our senior college football guy here at the Superbook. And I know Ed and I both really like Nebraska this season. Talk about a team that, as bad as they started, they closed out so well at the end of last year. And that's such a mark of a great coach. And Scott Frost did such a great job with Central Florida, and he really had that team turned around by the end of last season. I don't see any reason why Nebraska won't win the Big Ten. I think it's called the Big Ten West.
You know, you got Zeke. You can't get into a 7-man box down there because they'll run it down your throat. So obviously, you know, it's got to come off the passing game or some other way. Do they have an answer for it down there?
Yeah, Michael, they really, they really struggled, as you mentioned, with that. Some great numbers that you just threw out there. And, you know, you're absolutely right. They missed a really point of attack blocker. You know, they're tight end. They used to have a combination, even old man Jason Witten and then, you know, James Hanna. When they had James Hanna, and then James Hanna retired, you know, James Hanna was kind of a stunt man. He's like, okay, you know, they take the actor out, they put the stunt man in, and, you know, he does all the dirty work. And they missed a guy like that. They didn't have that ability to really control the point of attack.
For sports bettors, sharp is a philosophy. It's a mentality. Thing is, you never have to get sharp if you stay sharp. It's expecting the unexpected and staying on the cutting edge. It's the sports book you've been waiting for, with the easiest app, best prices, and most unique markets across all your favorite sports. So the question is, are you sharp enough?
To a numbers game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
We have TVs on in the VSiN studio, the beautiful VSiN studio here at the South Point Hotel Casino. And I think we're watching the 1986 NBA All-Star game. I think it's 86. Don't hold me to that. Mid-80s All-Star game. And let me just say, Jack Sikma's perm is sweet. That's totally going to catch on. Go back in the time machine and tell Sikma, not a good idea.
I think it is 85, actually, upon further research here.
It's just great. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Andrew Luck has spoken. I don't know if you follow this Twitter account, but it is always amusing. Captain Andrew Luck, somebody has made Andrew Luck a Civil War general. And here is what Captain Andrew Luck has to say. Dearest mother, I have safely arrived at camp to begin basic training, betwixt counting birds during the day and stars at night. The journey fell short. My sidearm is polished, my uniform is crisp, my neckbeard full. The new campaign has officially begun. Exhilarated, Andrew. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we can begin in earnest the 2019-2020 NFL football season. And ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in a gentleman who has called Bill Walsh, Bill Parcells, and Bill Belichick Billy to their faces. It's Michael Lombardi. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. I'm going to follow this, Captain. That was too good. That was too well written for me to not want to follow Captain Andrew Luck.
It is
Civil War General.
It's phenomenal. It's CAPT Andrew Luck on Twitter. It's just week by week he has these great, just pitch perfect tweets from him. It's so great. Hey, listen, last time you were here, Michael, by the way, it's VSiN's own Michael Lombardi. Let me just point that out. At M Lombardi NFL if you want to follow Michael on Twitter. The last time you were here, you were kind enough to join me for an hour here in studio when you were in Vegas last week. And after you left, I said on air, and you'll remember this, Jeff, I immediately go, you know what I forgot to ask Michael? I forgot to ask if he ever gets any blowback when he talks about the Clapper, Jason Garrett, or anything like that. Like, do you ever hear from anybody in the league that you have something perhaps somewhat negative to say about them? Do you ever hear anything?
Not really, no. I mean, I think they all just under the umbrella. They don't listen to it. You know, the best way to deal with if somebody criticizes you is just to say, I know that's I don't follow the person. And I think that, look, I think everybody in Dallas, I'm sure that Jason Garrett knows the Clapper is that nickname has stuck. I mean, that nickname clearly has stuck. And I'm not sure the Virgil Salazzos of the Cleveland Browns will stick, but for me, that's the perfect description of that football team.
About the Clapper, about Jason Garrett, if you could have a conversation with it and say to him, hey, look, maybe a little less clapping. Let's start out with that. But what would you tell him? What would be the biggest thing for you that he can do to save his job, make Dallas a serious threat this season?
I think to think divergently. I know you went to Princeton, and I know that there's a reputation that you're really smart, but I think you really need to analyze the game from a different standpoint. I think drive starters are important. Handing the ball off to Zeke Elliott on the first play of the game isn't the way to start drives. Having Zeke Elliott is a huge get, and you need to utilize him in the passing game. And I think be open-minded to being divergent in thought. Think of five different ways to do something, and be creative in terms of that divergency, and then go from there. And be more of a head coach. Be more of a demanding guy. Don't embrace confrontation. Don't let Jerry run away with your football team. Put your personality into the team and stop trying to pretend that everything's okay.
All right. I want to go just team for team, just sort of stream of consciousness here and get your thoughts on this. Let's start with the Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl runner-up, if you will. They lose to the New England Patriots, of course, in the Super Bowl 13-3. The Rams, they have a new center, Michael. They've got a new starting guard. The Patriots basically gave the league a blueprint for how to get to Jared Goff and that Rams offense. In their division, there's going to be a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. Seattle and Arizona appear, at least on paper, to be improving. They've got the Super Bowl loss hangover, perhaps. There's film now on Sean McVay, a year's extra worth of that. Would it be shocking, with all of that, if the Rams ended up with just 8 or 9 wins?
Yeah, I think the Rams offensively, look, what you didn't add into your description was where's Todd Gurley health-wise. And we know Todd is not healthy. We know that he's got a degenerate knee and it's got arthritis in there, and it's only going to get worse as the season goes on. And we also know that, they re-signed Dante Fowler, and they've got the best defensive player in Aaron Donald, but how good are they in their secondary? How good is Marcus Peters, and how good is Aqib Talib? Can they hold on? And I think that the reality here is Sean's done a great job of hiding things. He's hid that offensive line for 2 years. He really has. And because he's hit it, it's all been play action. It's all been run, pretend we're running the ball. But where Sean's so good, unlike Jason Garrett, is he understands the value of drive starters. He understands that there's 12 plays are the most important plays in the game, which are to start the drive and make explosive plays. And therefore, they take chunks down the field, and they do a great job of hiding their offensive line. And I think what the Patriots just did is basically say, look, Jared Goff, you don't like anybody in your face. You don't like to play fast. We're going to force you to play fast. We're not the best rushers, but we're going to power this weak offensive line back. And I think if they can't answer that, look, the Niners spent a lot of money on their offensive line. Seattle's all about their offensive line. I don't really know what Arizona is or isn't, but I do think that the Rams with Cooper Kupp back, I think they'll be effective, but I do think they're vulnerable.
Let me go back to the Todd Gurley thing for a second, because I don't want to leave that hanging. By the way, the Rams minus 175 to win their division here at the South Point Hotel Casino. Their season win total at 10.5 consensus on the L.A. Rams. I
like the under there, Gill.
Yeah.
Gill, I like the under there. I think 10's the right number for him.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Listen, I don't know if yesterday, did you see Dr. Chow's write-up in Warren Sharp's preview guide about Gurley?
Yeah, we had Chow on, and look, I've said this on my podcast, GM Shuffle. I've said it on VSiN numerous times. When Gurley came out of college, this is not debatable. Gurley was a medical concern for all 32 teams. And because he was a medical concern for all 32 teams, they said, look, he's going to have a shorter career. Just like Sonny Michel's was the same tag coming out of New England. Not a great knee. The knee's not going to hold up for 2 contracts. And when the Rams gave him $60 million, everybody in the league said, wow, why? And I think that we're just seeing the residual effect of that.
Yeah. Let me just read the first sentence of that again. Yesterday, I read this on air from Dr. David Chow, the football doc. Todd Gurley, and again, he's not his personal doctor, but just his thoughts, with knee arthritis confirmed, this is not the end of a productive Gurley, but it is the end of his being a bell cow running back. And, like, that's like a seismic shift, right? I mean, for fantasy, by the way, it's huge because you don't know where to draft him. Maybe the strategy is just let somebody else draft him. But, that's fascinating. And I'm not so sure. I guess when all is said and done, I don't feel you're right about all that stuff coming out of Georgia. But we got to see him in top form, and I don't feel like I've gotten a good enough explanation. You know what I mean? Like, arthritis doesn't satisfy me. Did he get hurt? Did he get benched at some level? What's going on? We need a 30 for 30 on Gurley himself. Will be interesting.
I'll tell you what happens, Gill, is you get bone rubbing on bone. It's no different than when the 76ers, God bless them, traded for Jeff Ruland, the center. And they traded Moses Malone for Jeff Ruland. He had bone on bone. I mean, it's just hard to get. It's hard to get a lot of days. And last year, it is reliably reported to me that on Wednesday and Thursday, by week 8 of the season, that Gurley could barely walk to practice, let alone practice.
Jeez.
So they never thought he was going to be able to practice. And, he's done a lot of things to get to the game, but getting to the game and getting practice, are two different things.
Talking to Michael Lombardi, former NFL executive, and of course, VSiN's own Michael Lombardi. Also, he mentioned it there, his own podcast, the GM Shuffle. That's the one with Adnan Virk, correct?
Correct, yeah.
The great Adnan Virk.
It's been going good. All we do is talk. We can talk Godfather and Sopranos all day long, and then mix in a little football as we go.
Some football every once in a while. So let me ask you about the Chiefs. Obviously, the Chiefs did not quite get to the Super Bowl. The Patriots stabbing them in the heart on their way there. Tyreek Hill. You and I were on the air when the Tyreek Hill news first came down. I don't know if you remember that, Michael. You were here in studio.
Yeah, sure do, yeah.
And
you had that lawyer read that dissertation. That was really compelling. And then, of course, naturally, it just fell apart. So now I guess my question to you, and I'm asking you to speculate a bit on this, do you think this is totally settled, that he won't end up suspended? And if so, that's a huge burden, obviously lifted emotionally off of the Chiefs. And why would we expect, if they've got full Tyreek Hill, why would we expect that offense? I know Kareem Hunt's not there, but why would we expect this to really be in any way diminished? I don't think we can. I think, look, the one thing the Patriots did do, and the Patriots didn't really slow them down, they just kind of outscored them, is the offensive line does have some issues. And Eric Fisher at left tackle, when he gets powered back, Schwartz, the right tackle, has some issues. And then inside, now they had some injuries last year inside, which really affected them. But Austin Ryder, Cam Irving, their new center in there. Cam Irving comes back off the injury, and then the doctor, I can't really pronounce his name, Tardaf Norway or something like that. I'm not great with how to pronounce his name, but the inside of their offensive line. But Mahomes is so good at buying a second look, moving around, making plays. I think really the issue here with them will be very effective on offense. I think there's no doubt about that. They got great speed. I think it's going to come down to how well they adapt to the Steve Spagnuolo off defense, which has been prone to make mistakes. I mean, look, Steve Spagnuolo's got a reputation of being a great coordinator, and he earned himself a head coaching job based on beating the Patriots in 2007. But there are times when you watch his defense, players make a lot of mistakes, and it is a chance-taking defense, and those chances you take sometimes pay a price. And if that happens in Kansas City, I think that could be problematic. But the one thing I do know, unless you play the right way, you're going to have a hard time beating Kansas City.
I was, the day that it came down that the NFL wasn't pursuing this against Tyreek Hill, I said to Vinny Maliulo here on air, I was like, I know we like to talk about how very few people, quarterbacks specifically, are the only ones, and certain quarterbacks at that, are the only ones that really affect betting lines. But I said to him, I think Tyreek Hill's presence, I think he's one of the few players who is not a quarterback who actually would affect a line. I think he means that much to the Chiefs. Do you agree with that? That is a massive deal for the Chiefs to have him versus the alternative?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, first of all, the guy that's happiest of all of them is Travis Kelce, because Kelce's a big receiver. And Kelce gets a lot of things because the coverage gets rolled right to it. And then Sammy Watkins has got to be relieved as well. And, we don't know where McCall Hardeman's going to come in, the kid from Georgia that they drafted in the second round. But DeMarcus Robinson and Watkins and those guys all get a lot of benefits because the coverage, like we saw with the Patriots, they're just going to roll the coverage to them, jam them high-low, force Hill to have a player in front of him and a player on top of him at all times.
All right, let me ask you before we go to break here, because I don't think enough is being made of this. It's the first year. It's Mike McCarthy AD in Green Bay, if you will. Why are we prepared? I don't know if we're fully prepared here, because this is my hunch, and I'm curious if you agree with this. For Aaron Rodgers, very sensitive to the fact that he wants to show everybody that all of his troubles were Mike McCarthy based, that we're going to get full Aaron Rodgers double middle finger to the rest of the world mode this year in the NFL.
I think that's really fair. I think, a lot of it's going to come down to the health of their offensive line and where they are. I think that, Rodgers and how he adapts to Matt LaFleur's offense and how much Matt LaFleur basically allows him to kind of do what he wants to do, and which we think will be. And does he have enough weapons around him? Look, I think Aaron Jones is an outstanding running back. I think he's really good, but he's got to stay healthy. He's got to prove his durability. And then they've got Jimmy Graham, Mercedes Lewis at tight end. Are those guys going to be able to hold up and play all the games during the season? I think that becomes questionable. But I do think that Rodgers is going to play his best football this year. Now, whether they're good enough on defense, that's a whole other conversation.
Whole nother conversation. Michael Lombardi, VSiN's own, at M Lombardi NFL, with us this morning on a numbers game at VSiN. We'll come back. We'll ask some more questions, including, among other questions, I want to ask him about this notion of tanking that we take so for granted in the NBA. Might it be a little more obvious in the NFL moving forward? I'm curious Michael's take on that. Coming up on a numbers game at VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, at Beating the Book and at VSiN Live.
You missed.
I mean, what was your low? How bummed were you at that moment? Were you just super dejected, or were you okay with it?
It's a funny story. So when right after the taping finished, and I kind of had to go sign my forms to collect my second place money, one of the producers came up to me and she gave me a hug, and she actually started crying because she said she had never seen anyone play the game so beautifully before, and I had to kind of pat her on the back and comfort her.
That's amazing.
The experience was ending.
Wow.
But I would say it was kind of a bittersweet moment. Obviously, I wasn't happy to lose, but at the same time, it was getting a little stressful going back there every week, and I was kind of like I had put this achievement, checked it off the bucket list.
Your thoughts on this hire, because there's a lot of folks who certainly we respect on our side of the counter with a pretty strong opinion on the Mountaineers this year.
I like the hire. I don't like what's going to happen this season. I almost get the feeling that Holgorsen saw rough waters ahead and left for Houston because of that. They got very few starters back. Several guys transferred out. I think this is going to be a tough season in Morgantown. I actually be surprised if they win 4 or 5 games even.
If you're a 49er fan, the Richard Sherman interception as you're getting ready to score that puts Seattle in the Super Bowl, right? That play call was not supposed to be called from that hash mark. They wanted to run that play from the right hash. They ran it from the left. Big mistake. When they sent the play in, the coaches in the box screamed, wrong hash. Everybody said, okay. They worked all week long on running that double move, Crabtree against Brian Maxwell, not against Richard Sherman. Wow. So the margin of going to the Super Bowl came down to a hash mark being the ball on the wrong side and the play getting run in. And that's the difference, that thin line between what's successful and what isn't.
Well, it kind of goes back to what you said a segment ago in terms of, Robert Griffin III. He sits there and he sees how the Patriots are working, but they don't want to do the work. Everybody in life always says, hey, they want to be successful.
Nobody wants to do the work.
That's exactly right. Are you willing to do
those details? It's like the secret. Marcus Aurelius is quoted as saying the secret to all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious. The non-obvious is what determines games.
To a numbers game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
It is a numbers game, VSiN, Sirius XM Channel 204. It's Gill Alexander. Just to give an idea of how we treat anything that Bill Belichick does in one way and every other coach if they did the exact same thing in another. The Patriots have decided to try out Danny Etling who, of course, comes from a glorious line of LSU quarterbacks. Let's just be honest. They've decided to try him out at wideout in the Patriots camp. Danny Etling, who, let me just sort of say this out loud, Jeff. I don't remember him being exactly fleet of foot as a quarterback, do you? That's not my image of him.
Danny Etling in his college career had 201 rushing attempts for 70 yards.
But Belichick does it, and we're like, well, maybe he knows something we don't, right? Any other coach, like, what are you doing? That is kind of the thing with Bill Belichick, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah, look, I mean, the one thing you got to be there is multidimensional. And I think Danny Etling has no chance to make the Patriots at quarterback. So I think what Belichick's going to try to do is see if he can get him somewhere where he can do something else that could benefit the team and still be able to play quarterback. Multidimensional players are key. So if they train him as a receiver and he can help in the kicking game and he can do three things and potentially play on all four downs, then they're going to take a look. Do I think it's going to be a worthwhile investment? Probably not, but it's worth it. And the thought process is we need more multidimensional players, and he certainly doesn't have the Taysom Hill characteristics in terms of Hill's speed, his power, his toughness when he was at BYU.
Taysom Hill, who we've talked about many times on this show. You love Taysom Hill. By the way, since we're on Belichick, just sort of, again, stream of consciousness, when is your instinct, you know him, when is your instinct that he hangs it up? And do you ever possibly think you might see him coaching a different team besides the Patriots, or is this it for him?
That's always the hard one. I think, first of all, he enjoys it, and he's getting better at it. I mean, if the last 5 years are any indication of how good of a coach he is, with the 74 wins, counting playoffs, and the rest of the league is the highest is at 57, why stop now when you're really the game's getting, I don't want to say easier for him, but I think being a head coach, he's truly a dinosaur. There's very few head coaches in the NFL, true head coaches, running all the operations. So, would he go somewhere else? I doubt that. I think he enjoys the New England area, Nantucket, everything that New England brings to the table, and certainly the autonomy that he gains from working for the Patriots.
Does it happen like this? Does Tom Brady go, I am retired, and in the middle of retire, in the middle of that word, does Belichick go, me first? Like, how does that go?
No, I don't think. I really don't think they go hand in hand.
All
I
right.
don't. I think people all think that. I think it has nothing to do with it. I think they're completely as the opposite as 9 is to 2.
As 9 is to 2. That was an interesting choice on the other side. I would have gone 3, but I understand too.
Quote.
Yeah,
that's a Bob Knight quote. So.
Bob Knight with the quote. Last year, this time, Michael, we were. God, despondent is not the right word. That's not strong enough. We were outraged kind of about all the roughing the passing calls, preseason-wise, remember? And then it sort of, we were like, well, they're gonna pare this down once the regular season starts. They're not going to call this by the book. And they did, right? They did start calling it. I remember the Clay Matthews play against the Redskins. Like, it was an epidemic. And I'm not one for hyperbole. I don't get crazy about certain things, but that was the one thing in the NFL. I remember when they were calling the rampant roughing the passing penalties, where I was just like, okay, this threatens everything about this game. Like, this completely changes. You almost cannot bet on this, because even when you're right, all it takes is one of these plays and it completely changes the game. Is there anything similar in a crisis mode of that type that you can possibly anticipate on the horizon this year, similar to that?
I think they're going to call it tighter. I really do. I think they'll call it tighter. I do think this. I think we have to understand, and we might have talked about this last week, they're not going to officiate the last play of the game, the heave into the end zone. That is going to stay exactly how it's been over the course of several years in the NFL. It's a jump ball. Everybody's got a right for the ball, pushing and shoving allowed. So, but I think, look, the referees are going to see it. They're going to call it. I think it's going to be hard to overturn. I think that's going to be the key. I would suspect it's going to be hard to overturn, because I think, look, we all don't know. And I've been in the league 35 years, and I think people have been in it 50, fans who've watched the game their lifetime. Anybody that really understands pass interference, they really don't know. Now, we do know when it happens. Unfortunately, they didn't know in New Orleans, but we usually know when it's really bad. And I think that's what will be the call.
So let's just say on this show, Michael, we made hay on tanking NBA teams in the past couple years. Not so much this past year, but the year before. And it's a kind of known thing in the NBA that 2 years ago, not everybody, but a whole bunch of teams, 7 specifically, were in a scrum tanking for the number 1 pick in the draft because they knew they had the best chance at it if they got the worst record, 25% of the ping pong balls then. We don't really talk about it in the National Football League as much, but it occurs to me that Tua Tagovailoa is out there, and then the following year, Trevor Lawrence is out there. And I'm just wondering if this might start to be a thing in the National Football League, and if so, who, in your opinion, what might be the franchises that you think has the most tank in them, as you know the folks personally?
Well, I think it has to come from the owner, right? I mean, the owner's got to say, look, let's tank. It's got to come from him. And, tanking's easy when we talk about it in July. Try tanking in December when your newspaper's really just ripping you like crazy and calling you incompetent and doing all that. I mean, look, you can win 4 games in the NFL and still have the first pick in the draft, right? And how much is culture important to the NFL? It is the NFL. You have to have the right culture. And if you're going to tank, you're basically saying we don't care about culture. Well, you're not going to care about winning no matter who you get a quarterback. You just don't turn culture off and on. This isn't like you call the pet control company and say, come spray for pets. Okay, we've got culture now. Culture is something that you have to build, and you've got to install it. I think what the Dolphins are going to do is they're going to build their culture. They're going to install it. Well, I think they win 10 games? No. Do I think they'll win 5? Yeah. Do I think they'll have a chance at the first pick of the draft? Sure they will. But at least they'll have the right culture and the right mindset when they do get the right quarterback, whether it's Justin Herbert, whether it's Tui, whoever they get, they'll at least have a culture established. That's really smart. And let me just say this, just on the fact of this whole tanking in the NBA. I want to know when it worked. I want somebody to tell me it works. Because we just saw Paul George get a ton of money, and he was picked in the middle of the round. We see Jimmy Butler get a max deal. He's picked in the bottom of the round. We see all these guys that, did tanking work for the New Orleans Hornets with Anthony Davis? Did that work for him?
Well,
the Sixers wanted to pick Andrew Wiggins, right? And because Embiid got hurt, they didn't pick Wiggins. Wiggins went before him. So, and they didn't have the pick. What would have happened at that, right? And then, they get Simmons because they get the first pick. But tell me when it really works.
Well, since you asked the question, I mean, in the 80s it worked, right? The Houston Rockets and getting Ralph Sampson and getting Akeem Olajuwon, they would tell you that tanking worked. There are instances where it worked 2 years ago in the NBA when it was set up for it to work. It worked for the Phoenix Suns, even though DeAndre Ayton hasn't turned out to be anything yet, so that hasn't manifested for them. But the context has to be in place, and that's why the NBA has struggled with it so much, because in that league it has. And I guess what I'm saying is we have these teams, and Miami's not one of them, right? Because they supposedly have their quarterback of the future with Josh Rosen. But I wonder, a team that, you talk about culture, a team that perhaps would be moving from one city to another, right? That wouldn't have any culture or any city to be loyal to, perhaps. Who might that be? I wonder if they have a bad year, right? If the Raiders do, might they, late in the season, be like, well, Tua's out there.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Look, I think the Raiders are going in very, very, it's like a young kid going to the ocean very tepidly into the water because it's cold. I think that's how they're approaching this with Derek Carr. I don't think they're sold. They're going head first into the water. I think they're very concerned about how good of a player he is. I'm concerned about the Raiders' offensive line play. I think Warren Sharp pointed it out very well in his book about Tom Cable and his inability to really do pass protect. So I think there's a lot of things that go on here. But let me just say this. It still comes down to evaluation. Tanking, Kevin Durant or Greg Oden, right?
Yeah.
Who you picking, right? Tanking, Andrew Luck, who you picking? Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf, who you picking? It takes talent to evaluate talent. It doesn't take tanking to evaluate talent. That's my point, Gill.
100% right. 100% right about that, for sure. Talking to Michael Lombardi at M Lombardi NFL. Again, former NFL executive. Worked with Bill Belichick, Bill Walsh, Bill Parcells. The greats of the game. Any holdouts that you are hearing buzz about? Obviously, Melvin Gordon with the LA Chargers, not happy with his contract. Might there be any other person, any other player of note that you have heard buzz about that is not real happy and is not a lock to show up at camp?
Well, I mean, they think Trent Williams, the left tackle for the Redskins, is eventually going to show up. I think Trent Williams knows he can't get hurt again, and it's probably best, based on the Redskins' track record of getting players hurt, to show up to camp. And look, I think they're going to do something with Zeke's deal. Here's Jalen Ramsey's deal. I think part of the problem is even if they show up, I mean, Earl Thomas showed up. Was he really? He played well for Seattle, but he was still caused issues. And I think that even if a guy shows up and the problem lingers, it's hard for guys to separate it. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's in camp, but the whole demonstration of bringing a Brinks truck, the whole demonstration of what he did, that means it's on his mind. And that's going to affect his play. And I think that somebody's going to have to deal with it. Look, here's the cold reality of the NFL today. It used to be if you held out, we're not going to negotiate with terrorists because you're holding out, right? Well, that doesn't work anymore because you've just given a bunch of guys who never did anything for a team a lot of money. And now you're not going to pay me? Once you enter free agency like the Jacksonville Jaguars have done repeatedly and pay outside players a lot of money, you better take care of your own players or your locker room is going to be in a mess.
Cleveland Browns. Obviously,
the Virgil Salazzos. Yes.
That's right. Nobody getting more buzz than the Cleveland Browns. Are we at the point where that hype is too much, or is there still a train of thought with you that it's possible that they're actually undervalued because they're still the Browns in some people's minds, right? It's still the Browns, so how good can they really be? If Kitchens can mesh all that talent, it would seem that they're just loaded.
Well, I mean, everybody says they're loaded, but, when you start asking people who their left tackle is, they stunt and stammer. I mean, it's Greg Robinson, right? And Greg Robinson was a washout at the Rams, was a washout at the Lions. Now, he played really good last year. Anybody asks you who their right tackle is, Chris Hubbard. He was a washout at Pittsburgh. He's an average right tackle in the NFL. He's in the bottom half. So your left tackle and your right tackle of the offense that's supposed to be so good isn't exactly great. And then your guards, I mean, Batano's a really good player from Nevada Reno. Corbett, the second-round pick from 18, is going to have to prove he's a good player. And then they've got to figure out where are they in depth. Kendall Lamb, the right tackle for the Houston Texans last year, is the backup right tackle in Cleveland. Now, we watched Kendall Lamb block last year. It wasn't very good. And they've got 4 college free agents in their offensive line they're going to camp with. So we'll see how it all works out. I think the offensive line, to me, is a huge question mark. And then here's the bigger question mark. They're going to transfer from Greg Williams' cover 2 scheme. Denzel Ward played a lot of cover 2 last year, mostly all cover 2. He's got to play man-to-man, and he's got to be a run support. Same with Greedy Williams. Can he hold up? And are they good enough in the secondary to hold up? And can Olivier Vernon come back to be the pass rusher he was 2 years ago? If those are all yeses, okay, we're moving along and we're going good. If Sheldon Richardson's still a good player, the last 2 years they haven't been good to Sheldon Richardson, even though he keeps getting paid. Nobody's watching the tape on Sheldon Richardson. He's not playing good, and he's still getting paid. We'll see. To me, I think they're overvalued.
Brown season win total at 9. You think they're overvalued? Interesting. By the way, the Virgil Salazzo reference, for those who don't know, from The Godfather, what specifically relates the Browns to Salazzo for you?
Well, Salazzo was the guy that made a move on The Godfather, and he went from being a nice story to being the hunted one. And once you become the hunted one, people are after you. And the Browns are now the hunted one. When you look at the schedule 2 years ago and you had the Browns on it, nobody cared, right? In fact, it was problematic because you had to get your players motivated to play the Browns. Now we're playing the Browns, the Titans. They're up for this game. You're going to get the Titans' best game opening day. They're going to play because they know the Browns are the hunted one, just like Virgil Salazzo.
Just like Virgil Salazzo. By the way, Browns at CG Technology, 5-point favorites versus the Titans. Week 1 in Cleveland. Browns then play 3 primetime games in the next 4 weeks after that, talking about the fact that they are the hunted. They're the guy now. At the Jets Monday Night Football, that's a pick 'em. The Rams on Sunday Night Football, they'll be 3-point home dogs. And then after a game at Baltimore 2 weeks after that, at San Francisco Monday Night Football, where they're currently 2.5-point dogs as well. So the Cleveland Browns, Michael, with 3 primetime games first 5 weeks of the season. Speed round to wrap it up with Michael Lombardi. 3 quick questions for you, Michael. 3 quick answers. Any big issues as you see it as it relates to the collective bargaining agreement, possible work stoppage? Do you see any glaring problems that as an executive you would raise if you were in the league right now? And also, what must NFL players think, by the way, seeing what these NBA players are getting contract-wise? All of that.
Well, I think, look, we're in the entertainment business, and they got to understand that there's 53 players on a team. In the NBA, there's only 12 that make 8 that make any real significant money. So, that's a different story. I think the issue is the commissioner has to get a collective bargaining agreement. I think there will be a lot of whispers and a lot of chance if this deal doesn't come in and really work for both without work stoppage, because the league is at a point where it's really flourishing. I mean, look, we just saw the last 50 games. The best, highest rated 50 games on television this past year, where most of them were all football games. In fact, even preseason games beat NBA games. So we understand that this is a popular sport, and I think the commissioner and the league have to find a way to continue to make it better and not have a work stoppage. So I think what I would really hope for at some point is the league office would add more people that worked for teams to understand the plight of working for a team.
Michael, just you and me talking here. When you were an executive in the league, were you aware of players using performance-enhancing drugs? And if you were you worried that it was a ticking time bomb? Were you pissed at those players? Do you remember any such thing like that?
Yeah, no, Gill, we spent a lot of time. When I was with Coach Walsh, in the mid-'80s, he made me do a work report on steroids, back when there was no internet to research it. There was no Google to look it up. And then ever since then, you could see signs of it. And you really became, and I've been a proponent. I've been screaming about it every league meeting is, I think if a player goes to the combine and doesn't take a urine test, and then he goes on his workout trail, I think he should come back in mid-April and then have another urine test to see if he's on steroids. If you go through the top 20 mistakes in college football drafting, 99% of them are because of steroids. And if you're not aware of it, if you don't understand it, if you think Tony Mandrich was a blown pick because nobody could evaluate, you're wrong. It was all steroids.
All steroids. Yep. I think that one was pretty obvious. Michael Lombardi at M Lombardi NFL VSiN Zone. The podcast is the GM Shuffle with Adnan Virk. Check him out on our airwaves. We appreciate it, Michael. Thank you for the time, brother.
Thanks, Gill. Bye-bye.
Michael Lombardi, best in the business right here at VSiN. We're lucky to have him. No question about that. Coming back, Bill Krackomberger in studio, unscripted. It's a numbers game at VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, at Beating the Book and at VSiN Live.
We didn't touch upon Stanford, a team that's always a challenger in the Pac-12, but I think this is going to be a down year. They lose a ton of talent. One of my favorite players in college football last year, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, he's gone. I'm not going to discount, though, the job that their coaching staff does there.
Yeah, what they are the outliers, right? So everybody's running spread, and they're in two tight ends running the ball, and their pad level's down. And so to get ready to play them, right, to get ready to play Stanford, you're a school that you're Arizona, and you're in spread all the time. How do you get your defense ready to play Stanford? You have no real players on your team that can show you what the offense looks like in a real concise manner and an effective manner. So they're the outlier. They are New England. New England became this last year. Who was running the football? And I think that's the big thing. I'm just not in love with KJ Costello. I mean, I know people have him as the second best. I don't. I mean, I think there's some issues with his accuracy, and I do think it'll be a down year. It'll be interesting to see where David is with this program right now.
Yeah, I agree.
David Shaw, I meant.
One of my favorite things about Stanford, they're like the service academies. You can always guarantee they're not going to get dumb penalties.
Yeah, that's right. Smart players.
Absolutely right.
Hey, everybody, it's Paulie from VSiN. How many of you have something that hurts, like on your body? Right now, I've got this thing with my back, an old-timer, bugging the hell out of me. I heard about this stuff called Voodoo Pain Relief Cream, and I'm thinking, okay, what's this all about? Did some research, checked it out. Good, real good. Patented formula must mean something good. 11 anti-inflammatory ingredients. Sounds like a lot. Nanotechnology. No idea what that is. Must be good. Read the testimonials. Off the charts good. So I thought this might be BS, but I'll give it a shot. And what do you know? Boom, jackpot. What a move this was, trying Voodoo Pain Relief Cream. My God, my back feels better already. Now listen to me. I know everyone has something bothering them. Joint pain, arthritis pain, muscle pain. Do you want to feel better? Get this stuff now. Text Paulie to 246-810 right now, and you'll get a special deal. Just text my name, Paulie, with a Y, to 246-810, and you'll get all the details. Text Paulie to 246-810.
Numbers Game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback. Southern Betting. Asking Gill, didn't tanking work in the NFL when the whole suck for luck campaign got the Colts the player they wanted? It's a very good point. Yeah, let's not act like it. I mean, people have a problem with that word, right? Because it's a harsh word. Tanking, you can't, God forbid they do. Yeah, they're doing it in their own clever little ways, right? By the way, same year, the Redskins sucked for Griffin. Just want to point that out. They didn't really. They had to make a trade for him. 2010, baby. Or, excuse me, 2012. The Redskins will always have the 2012 season of Robert Griffin. NFL Rookie of the Year, by the way. Just want to point that out. The Captain Andrew Luck thing, speaking of Andrew Luck, CAPT Andrew Luck on Twitter. He follows two people. He's 500,000 followers. He follows two people, two accounts. One is the Indianapolis Colts, and the other is Ken Burns. Documentary filmmaker Ken Burns, who, of course, famous for his Civil War documentary and his baseball documentary as well. Have you honed your baseball pick yet, Jeff? Anything?
This is a tough day because there really just isn't. There's not a lot to pick from.
Okay.
You look at the night games, the Mariners and the Tigers. The Tigers are pitching a fake guy.
Fake, not a real person.
And the Mariners haven't even named a starter yet. Yeah, the Tigers are throwing Drew Verhagen, who doesn't even qualify for our sheet.
He can't be real.
I don't know who that is.
So
right now the only lean I have right now, and I'll give it right now as a lean.
Okay.
Is the under 4 first 5 in Mets Padres.
Under 4 first 5 Mets and Padres, and that is Jacob deGrom
and Eric Lauer
and the lefty Eric Lauer. Under 4, and that's the early game, right? That's the first game.
That is the early game. That's not going to be the pick, but that is a lean if you want to get on it.
Oh, it's not going to be the pick.
Yeah, I think this might be a.
Man, you are a curveballer.
No, I think this is going to be a day with a few leans and no actual pick.
All right. Well, that's the thing. Again, you are not required to make a pick just because we're here. It doesn't. Again, the biggest advantage we have is that we don't have to make bets, Jeff. They have to post the line for everything. That's our advantage. Don't have to make a bet for anything. But you're leaning on the under there on the 4. By the way, that under first 5 went away very quickly in that game yesterday. Was that the game it went? Oh, no, that was the Cardinals game.
No, the Cardinals-Pirates game was bye-bye in the second inning.
Unscripted, Bill Krackomberger. We will talk, among other things, about his experience with Kawhi and Floyd Mayweather Jr. at the Pac-Man Thurman fight the other night. Krackman in studio next on a Numbers Game, exclusively right here at VSiN.
It's a Numbers Game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, at Beating the Book and at VSiN Live.
Here's some of what you missed.
I mean, what was your low? How bummed were you at that moment? Were you just super dejected, or were you okay with it?
It's a funny story. So when right after the taping finished, and I kind of had to go sign my forms to collect my second place money, one of the producers came up to me and she gave me a hug, and she actually started crying because she said she had never seen anyone play the game so beautifully before, and I had to kind of pat her on the back and comfort her.
That's amazing.
The experience was ending.
Wow.
But I would say it was kind of a bittersweet moment. Obviously, I wasn't happy to lose, but at the same time, it was getting a little stressful going back there every week, and I was kind of like I had put this achievement, checked it off the bucket list.
Your thoughts on this hire, because there's a lot of folks who certainly we respect on our side of the counter with a pretty strong opinion on the Mountaineers this year.
I like the hire. I don't like what's going to happen this season. I almost get the feeling that Holgorsen saw rough waters ahead and left for Houston because of that. They got very few starters back. Several guys transferred out. I think this is going to be a tough season in Morgantown. I actually be surprised if they win 4 or 5 games even.
If you're a 49er fan, the Richard Sherman interception as you're getting ready to score that puts Seattle in the Super Bowl, right? That play call was not supposed to be called from that hash mark. They wanted to run that play from the right hash. They ran it from the left. Big mistake. When they sent the play in, the coaches in the box screamed, wrong hash. everybody said, okay. They worked all week long on running that double move, Crabtree against Brian Maxwell, not against Richard Sherman. Wow. So the margin of going to the Super Bowl came down to a hash mark being the ball on the wrong side and the play getting run in. And that's the difference, that thin line between what's successful and what isn't.
Well, it kind of goes back to what you said a segment ago in terms of, Robert Griffin III. He sits there and he sees how the Patriots are working, but they don't want to do the work. Everybody in life always says, hey, they want to be successful.
Nobody wants to do the work.
That's exactly right. Are you willing to do
those
what it takes?
details? It's like the secret. Marcus Aurelius is quoted as saying, the secret to all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious. The non-obvious is what determines games.
Update. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
The Alabama Crimson Tide, the favorite to win the college football championship this season at 5-2. Reigning champion Clemson at 9-4. Georgia at 9-1. It's a busy week around the NFL as training camp gets underway. The defending Super Bowl champion Patriots start practice today. Julian Edelman reportedly will be out for a couple of weeks with an injured hand. New England at 6-1 odds to win the Super Bowl. They're favored along with Kansas City, the Rams, and New Orleans Saints right in the mix at 10-1, while Indianapolis, Green Bay, and Philadelphia, as well as Chicago, all at 14-1. PGA this weekend, the St. Jude in Memphis. Dustin Johnson, the favorite at 9-1.
SiriusXM listeners, now's the time to see what you're missing. Get 24/7 access to VSiN's live and archive video. Sign up now for a 14-day free trial. To take advantage of the free trial, go to vsin.com/free trial and enter the promo code SiriusXM204. All we need is your email address to get you started. Get the latest VSiN odds at vsin.com. And remember, cashing tickets is what it's all about.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network.
He's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
Analytics, statistics, and more are used to win wagers, and Gill has every number you need to cash your tickets. Now, live from the VSiN studios in the South Point Hotel and Casino, it's Gill Alexander.
Hour number 2, Thursdays, right here in a number game. This is the best. It's SiriusXM channel 204, VSiN.com, the VSiN app. Let me say that again. VSiN.com, the VSiN app, Fubo TV, Sling TV, Game Plus, throughout Canada and New York City and beyond. It's Gill Alexander. Ladies and gentlemen, always hour number 2 Thursday, always unscripted. William, I am a baller, Krackomberger, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you, Bill.
Good morning.
You are a baller.
I got a little lucky last week. So, I was actually going to watch the fight. I had plans 24 hours before, literally like Friday morning. I said, okay, a buddy of mine asked me, he goes, hey, I'm going to get the fight and we'll watch it on pay-per-view at my house. I said, perfect. I agreed. And then I get a call from a big player in town that comes in every once in a while. He's literally decided last minute. He sent the MGM private jet for him. So they send a private plane for him. He calls me up and says, I got first row seats for you if you want to go. And I said, yeah, I'm going to the fight in first row.
Let me think. Sure.
Yeah. So thanks to Robin Hood 702. That's the guy who put me up there in the first row with him. And it just happens that we got there a little bit early. I sit down. Next to me, there's nobody. And this big guy comes over with his girl. Big. I say big. What's quiet, about 6'7" or something, So but I still didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he was. I don't follow bad NBA.
There's a picture, by the way.
Yeah, and my buddy tells me 2 nights ago, he says to me, do you realize he's the best player? And I said, the best? Isn't like, I know players. Isn't like Durant better than him? I said, no.
When did Jordan retire?
Yeah, he's like, I said, isn't LeBron better than him? He goes, no. He's like Durant's 80%. He goes, no, that's the best player anyway. So comes in, sits next to me, quiet for 20, 25 minutes, doesn't say a word. No big deal. It's fine. I'm not going to bother anyone anyway, even if I know who he is. At that level. So
how great is that? Bill legit didn't know who that was.
No, I didn't know who he was.
No. But he was very pleasant. Had a nice interaction with him afterwards.
So Floyd comes in, and I'm in row A. I'm in the first row, and it's like the Goodfellas scene when they bring the table and place the table in front of you. It's like I went from row A to row B.
You're not an A anymore.
The old AA row gets put in front of me. So they drop a seat. They drop seats down. These little folding chairs, and here comes Floyd and his tree trunk bodyguards. And I'm like, oh no. Everyone else is like, hey Floyd, I'm pissed. I'm like, I know what's going to happen here. One of these tree trunks are going to get in front of me.
Sure.
But absolutely no. They spread the seats out for the kids. For his kids, and Floyd came in with his kids. So Floyd went over to Kawhi and talked to him for a bit. Floyd came over to me and gave me a fist pump. We talked, and then throughout the night, we talked a little bit about the M Casino when it first opened, when Cantor decided they were going to take over the world before the collapse.
That? Yeah, 2010-ish.
Hey, listen, even Rome fell, so anything can happen. But anyway,
if Rome fell, they can fall.
Yeah. So now we're talking about in the mornings. There was an unbelievable scene. 7 in the morning, I used to get there. You understand, they were taking the biggest bets at the beginning. So 7 in the morning, and then there would only be a certain number of people there that early in the morning. Who's getting up that early to start to bet in sports? Well, Floyd used to jog there. You know, he lives pretty close by. Used to jog there, have the car follow him. And then he used to jog, and he used to be alone there. And then, so literally the VIP section, which was really cool, you used to go back there, and it was literally some mornings it was me and Floyd and I. That was it
at the M.
Yeah, at the M. So we used to talk. We talked. A very very respectful guy, always to me, and to be honest with you, to fans too. He was pretty respectful to people all the time. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked for a couple seconds. That actually broke the ice for Kawhi to start. We started interacting a little bit
because he figured you were okay at that point.
Yeah. And believe it or not, we're talking, and I still don't know who he is. We're talking, and I just figured. Now I know he's talking to Floyd, saying, "Wow, is he a?
This guy must be something."
No, he is. He might be a boxer that I don't know. I know a lot of boxers, though. I know all the champions and stuff. I know all the heavyweight guys. I'm like, wow, this might be an up and comer. Yeah, sure.
Did the Spurs championship ring on his finger give him away?
So now, God, this is embarrassing. So now I talked to him a little, and then he's asking me about, because we're talking about the odds in the fight, and Kawhi actually asked me the odds. He said, who's favorite? He didn't know, and I said Manny Pacquiao 170, and I could see the perplexity. He didn't know. I said, well, you have to lay 170 to win 100. He's not supposed to know.
Right.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
But then I realized,
good for
him. He's not supposed to know. Yeah. These $100 million contracts. I'm sure he got something like that.
By the way, it did get to 155 on Thurman. It got that high on Thurman early Saturday.
Plus, at the Coast Properties was plus 155. I'm sure like Stations probably was too. But so anyway, yeah. So now I find out from who he is by someone in back of me. So a guy in back of me is sitting with Antonio Gates, the great the guy on Chargers.
And Antonio Gates, just between you and me, who does know what that line means. Just want to point that out.
Yes. As a matter, it's unbelievable. I wound up talking to Gates for 20 minutes after the fight.
Yeah.
The guy that Robin Hood I went to wound up being friends with him, and we talked for a while at the end. What a nice guy, too. Gates was what a sweetheart of a guy.
Super nice. Everybody here in Vegas who's interacted with him says the same thing.
Oh, my God.
He's super chill.
He was so chill. Took pictures with everyone, talking to people. He was really cool.
He comes in every year. They would ask him, are you playing for the Chargers again this year? He'd be like, I don't know. He'd come in the middle of the summer, he'd be like, maybe.
Yeah.
It was just like a year-by-year thing late in his career.
So I don't do this. I'm not a guy that says, hey, can I take your picture? It's very, very rare. Someone else will do it around me or something. I say, all right, let me see this rock on your hand. He actually put his hand up to me like this and let me take a picture of his hand. And we took a picture next to each other.
There it is, there on the screen. VSiN.com, the VSiN app, Fubos League, and Game Plus.
And I admit it, here's the embarrassing part. That ring is from
the Spurs. Yes. You didn't recognize the logo.
No, I actually said something to him. I said, well, it doesn't look like a Toronto Raptor thing. He said, no, man, we didn't get that one yet. I felt so stupid. I don't realize it.
Kawhi turned to his girl and goes, that dude doesn't know who I am.
Yeah. How about Kawhi with the same girl since he's like 18, too? I mean, she's the same girl that he's been dating for all these years.
It's a beautiful thing.
He's a very quiet, calm guy.
He is.
And you could see how hard it is to be a celebrity. At the end, a guy came up to him and just was all over him. Man, you're the best. And he's going on and Kawhi finally turns around and says, and touches his hat. He's got a Chicago Bulls hat on. He goes, I'm the best, but you got the Bulls hat on. You know, it's just. And the guy was still on. He goes, no, and then the guy turns the hat around, like so he won't say, oh yeah, that makes a world of difference.
Hey, you're not wearing it anymore.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and
what a trick!
And he had a security guard walking back. He was very nice. He was very, and Floyd had. It's funny during the fight. Now after the 10th, I'm sitting right by Manny. I'm sitting right by him. So now,
you think Manny won? By the way,
yeah. Oh yeah, I had 115, 112. I graded every round. I always.
I love that you score it.
I do. I score the round.
Yeah, but you agreed exactly with 2 of the 3 judges. That's exactly how they had it scored.
You know what's funny though? I'll go into. Okay, remind me to tell you about the dinner with Thurman. Okay, so now, but now I'm whipped. I'm
throw that in there.
Yeah, just because I'll forget. I have ADD. Yeah. I'm all over the joint. So
all over
now,
the joint.
So now Pacquiao's here in the corner, and he turns to the left, and I look here, and I'm saying, "Wow!" I told my friend Robin Hood. I said, "Wow, he is breathing so heavy." After the 10th round was over, Floyd whips his head around at me and says, "What you think he's going to be doing at 40 years old?" But he came out and he did win the fight. So I'll tell you another thing, a little inside scoop here.
Oh, here's what I
watched that whole Floyd interaction there, standing on his feet. Floyd wanted Manny to have this good show.
I knew it.
Oh man, he wasn't cheering, but trust me, Floyd wanted him to have this fight.
Because
there will be another Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, without a doubt. The only reason why he's rooting like this and like this, trust me, it's worth nothing or 9 figures.
Right.
So
they're going to fight again. I knew it. The reason that I exclaim yes is not because I think the fight's going to be any good.
Right.
Because we saw that it wasn't good the first time around, which was already 6 years after it should have been. But because there's a prop out there that I know a buddy of mine bet on. He bet that there will be.
It's over at the Hilton. The Hilton. It'll always be the Hilton.
Oh, it is at the Westgate.
It's at Westgate now.
Oh, I didn't know they had.
Yeah, they have Floyd minus 170. I seen they put up.
Well, there's a prop. Will they fight? Will Pac-Man and Mayweather fight again?
Right.
And he was all over the yes. And I think it will. That was what I was going to ask you.
Oh yeah, they'll fight again. They'll fight. Money is a crazy thing. Money makes you do things you don't want to do.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
But like you said, it's 9 figures.
Oh yeah.
There's money and then there's money.
Floyd's got that entourage too.
9 figures here, 9 figures there. Pretty soon you got some real money.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. This will be another $200 million for each guy, and literally it will be like a couple $100 million. I think Floyd said he made $300 million in the first one. So Manny made $150.
Just that. That's it. Oh, only $150.
I'm hearing that Manny may need the money too.
Man, you hear this about everybody. I mean, we just heard this about Adrian Peterson of the Redskins, right?
Yeah,
he's made over $100 million in his career, and he's in debt.
Yeah, Manny. I got some really good inside scoops that he has to fight. He has to have that fight.
Should I ask why, or should I not?
No, just he had some debts, some previous debts, and maybe do some gambling of his own back in the Philippines.
There it is. There's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
maybe likes a wager.
He's a nice guy though.
He is.
He's such a generous, good guy too. He's another one that, like Alan Boston, that can loan himself broke.
Yeah,
So
Alan Boston called me this weekend. We talked about the Jeopardy guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. He was on here on Friday with you, right?
Yeah,
cool. That was a good experience.
Oh, it was good. I mean, I got everything else I wanted to ask. I thought it was fascinating. Yeah,
cool,
that's a whole other story. But the Kawhi Floyd interaction, did you catch any of their conversation at all?
It's amazing. So now Floyd's sitting right in front of me, and then he moves one seat to the left. So now he's one seat to the left in front of me. Kawhi's on my right, and every time they had an interaction, they leaned in together right in front of me. I mean, literally, Floyd handed me his phone to give to Kawhi to put his new number in, and I handed it back to them. And then Kawhi said that it was too cold. He said, "Oh man, Toronto's so cold. It was so cold up there." And then also the taxes. I heard him say something about taxes. I guess
taxes,
they tax, which I didn't know until Kawhi told me. Kawhi taught me something.
Until Kawhi told me.
Yeah, Kawhi told me.
This guy.
Yeah, really, so I didn't know that. They take 50% of your money?
Well, this is the thing. Toronto is the T-Dot. By the way, we're in Canada. The 6, as Drake likes to call it. It is the greatest city in the world. I love Toronto. Cosmopolitan, beautiful people. It's just great. But, however, as Stephen A. would like to say, is cold, right?
Yeah,
That's the
cold.
problem, right?
Yep.
It's cold. And yes, the taxes, and this is why here on a numbers game, we successfully predicted the whole way through Kawhi was going to be with the Clippers the whole time. We never wavered on that because we knew it was like, okay, well, of course he's going to be nice about it afterwards, but he gave it away with the tells right after they won the championship, right? Because he's super calm. He doesn't say much.
Yes.
But right after the championship, when he was forced to do interviews, the tell was the pronouns he used. And he was like, well, I came here and got them a championship. He was already saying them.
Oh, wow.
And so I knew that. I was like,
Wow.
yeah, he's never wavered. He's going to California.
Wow.
I always
And that's
thought it
where
was
he's
the
from,
Clippers.
right? He's from now I
He's from
find out
LA.
he's from.
And I always thought it'd be the Clippers. He's not going to play with LeBron. I never thought that for 1 second.
Wow. And they took 50% tax. Now, he did say he gets back so much after 3 years, but, I mean, they were taking 50% of his money. I guess they do that with all the guys on Toronto. All the
Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with
Canadian players in
Canadian
general.
tax code
Yeah.
specifically, but
Yeah.
yes, I hear it is a high tax code.
Yeah, so, but it was a cool night. It was great. And the next night, I actually went to dinner with Thurman.
Okay, yeah, so what about that?
I went to dinner with Thurman, and that was
He
pretty
had
cool.
to feel that the first round knockdown is the only reason he lost.
I actually said, when my first line to him was, you realize that you were winning the first round, and then, now it goes from a 10-9 you to a 10-8 the other way.
Jeff Parles, producer number 5, thought the same thing when he watched
And that was the whole fight.
Yeah.
Really, with the scoring the way it was, he wouldn't have won, but it would have been a majority draw.
Yeah.
Because it would have been not majority. It would have been because one guy gave it to him, the other two gave it. Unless I'm keeping score wrong, was it 115? I think it was.
It would have been a majority draw.
It was 115, 112, right? Yeah. So I don't know. He was a really good guy too. Real quiet. He was sitting with his wife and
boxers. I don't know. I mean, you hang out with boxers more than I do.
Yeah.
There was a reality show. I don't know if you remember this on NBC for a while called The Contender, and Sugar Ray Leonard was sort of the host of it.
Sure.
And I remember the takeaway for me from that show was how, to a man, every one of the contestants on that show, all boxers, and by the way, some of them ended up being really big. Sergio Mora, by the way, won The Contender.
Yep.
To a man, they were the greatest family guys. They were men of integrity. They were just, that was the thing you took away. Like, wow, I would never have known this.
Yes.
But it was fab. Now, maybe they casted, specifically that way and rigged it that way so it came off that way. But it was just, that was my big takeaway from that show. So it doesn't surprise me Thurman was like that as well.
Sorry, the hot dog cart's going by. I got excited.
Bill got distracted literally in the middle. He's like, what are you saying, Gil? There's a hot dog.
Yeah,
there.
the reflection hit me, and then the sign hot dog got me.
Do you know when the VSiN studio was built here? This is a true story, and you remember the sort of covered in cardboard here for some time 2-3 years ago. The biggest complaints from South Point patrons, this is a true story, was what's going to happen to the hot dog cart?
The $1.25 hot dog.
And literally the hot dog cart moved 8 feet to the left.
Right.
And people were like, where's the hot dog cart?
Where can you go and get like 3 dogs and a soda for $5?
It's like Pavlov's dog. He's like, look. Yeah. He's halfway out the studio.
Yeah.
But it was a good dinner with him.
The hell with Kawhi. We got hot dogs.
Thurman was a nice dude, though.
Thurman was really nice. What a nice kid. I hope he gets a rematch. I just don't. I'm telling you, there could be. Listen, Pacquiao's not going to take on. He's not going to take a chance and fight someone else. I don't think. I mean, who knows? Maybe there'll be a tune-up, a warm-up. It'll be a well-calculated 1-1. He thinks that he can win easy. But I think a Floyd fight is coming here in the next 12 months.
Listen, if they're going to fight, there's no reason they can't fight this calendar year. Enough with, I mean, they have their promotion ramp up, I guess. But it's like, come on. It's not like that first fight was artistic.
Well, didn't he say he had a hurt hand, too, or something? Didn't Pacquiao say that a little bit?
Yeah, that came up.
Teddy pointed out something to me. After a fight, it seems like always the boxing commission fines people or suspends people. It hasn't made no critical mass news, but both fighters that fought there, Pacquiao and Thurman, both were suspended after the fight.
I heard Thurman was. I didn't know Pacquiao was.
So was Pacquiao. Just do a Google on it.
And ultimately, what does that mean?
Nothing. They're suspended for 30 days. Well, they weren't planning to fight for 30 days. It's like.
And for what were they suspended?
For maybe I think the hand, his hand, Thurman's hand was messed up ahead of time. Maybe had a broken finger. And then he had something with his lip, and same thing with Pacquiao. Had something a little wrong. I didn't know that, and I talked to Teddy during the week, and he said it happens 90% of the fights. The commission
just a perfunctory suspension for no particular reason.
Suspended for 30 days.
That thing in the first round, though, I just want to point this out to wrap it up. It did go, I think, from 10-9 on probably on the judges' scorecard to 10-8 the other way. 10-8 rounds are not mandatory. By knockdown, they don't have to score at 10-8.
Yeah, you can still have a 9-9. Anything can happen, yeah.
But they all went 10-8, which I thought, there was a little part of me that was like, oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Because I did watch that first round back, and I'm like, that didn't feel 10-8 to me.
If you pop right, even Thurman, he said he just caught me off balance, So, and that's the first time Thurman's been down in his career, too. So very good point. If you do catch someone off balance, he falls down, gets right up, you can actually not. It doesn't have to be that 10-8 round, exactly like you're saying.
It was a total flash knockdown.
Yes,
he got right back up.
And another thing is, I mean, what a heart of a champion. Thurman came right back at the end. But I mean, everyone in that arena was shocked he went down. But then again, when he went down, you thought maybe it was going to be over. And then he took a body shot later. I mean, it was really interesting.
And I lied. One more thing about this. I said this on the air Monday about this fight. And by the way, it ended up being a much better fight than most people anticipated it would be. But we have to wait to the end of these fights to see these scorecards. Why? Please tell me why we don't get to see this after every round. Think about how much better, as bettors, first of all, as people who wager on these, and as just viewers and fans of boxing, if we could see the scorecard after every single round, how much more fair all of this would seem, how much more exciting it would be. And the boxers would know. I heard somebody, when I said that on the air the other day, somebody on Twitter at Beating the Book said, well, they're worried that one of the boxers, then if he's way up, he wouldn't have to go all out and fight. Well, but that's the case in every other sport.
Right.
If a team's up 17 points, they can alter their strategy accordingly.
Yeah.
Why don't we have that for boxing?
Yeah, it's a great point, and it would actually, it would show what each judge has and on each round going forward, and you could literally pick apart the judges who wouldn't be able to judge in the future. Like, how can you give that round to him? I mean, perfect example. One of those three judges gave the fight to Thurman.
Yes.
That's insane.
Is it insane? Is that more insane, in your opinion, having watched it, or was ESPN scoring at 117-110 for Pacquiao more insane?
Oh, wow. They scored at one. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's a tough. Even Teddy, who liked Thurman, he scored at 115-112, which, by the way, was the same score I had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably Thurman definitely won a lot of rounds. 117-110. Who kept that score?
That was, I think, Dan Rafael at 117-110.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff, but I didn't see that fight.
Yeah.
For me, it was much closer. So anyway, we have more to talk about. I know you have a lot to talk about. You want to on the Shea Show. It is Bill Krackomberger. It is a numbers game, unscripted, right here at VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, at Beating the Book and at VSiN Live.
Some of what you missed.
How much in the terms of momentum or legs does the 18-game, 16 per player maximum have?
I can't imagine that Tom Brady's going to miss 2 games. I just can't fathom that you have a starting quarterback and you got to rest him for 2 games. And what that would look like is everybody would rest their quarterbacks first 2 weeks of the season and then play the rest of the year. I mean, why I'm not, or maybe rest them in week 17 when the game doesn't matter if you think you can get there. But it's either early or late, but you can't rest them in October or November. There's too much at stake.
So is that shaded a little bit shorter considering there's a lot of smart minds behind the Cornhuskers this year?
Well, let me give all the credit for all this college football stuff to Ed Salmons, our senior college football guy here at the Superbook. And I know Ed and I both really like Nebraska this season. Talk about a team that, as bad as they started, they closed out so well at the end of last year. And that's such a mark of a great coach. And Scott Frost did such a great job with Central Florida, and he really had that team turned around by the end of last season. I don't see any reason why Nebraska won't win the Big Ten. I think it's called the Big Ten West.
You got Zeke. You can't get into a 7-man box down there because they'll run it down your throat. So obviously, it's got to come off the passing game or some other way. Do they have an answer for it down there?
Yeah, Michael, they really, they really struggled, as you mentioned, with that. Some great numbers that you just threw out there, and you're absolutely right. They missed a point of attack blocker. They're tight end. They used to have a combination. Even old man Jason Witten, and then James Hanna. When they had James Hanna, then James Hanna retired James Haney was kind of a stunt man. He's like, okay, they take the actor out, they put the stunt man in, and, he does all the dirty work. And they missed a guy like that. They didn't have that ability to really control the point of attack.
For sports bettors, sharp is a philosophy. It's a mentality. Thing is, you never have to get sharp. If you stay sharp, it's expecting the unexpected and staying on the cutting edge. It's the sports book you've been waiting for, with the easiest app, best prices, and most unique markets across all your favorite sports. So the question is, are you sharp enough?
Back to a numbers game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Numbers game, Gill Alexander VSiN. Couldn't get Kawhi Leonard on the show today, so next best thing, his best friend, Bill Krackomberger, on the show today.
That's pretty cool.
Is that what you wrote Gaming Today article about?
The Gaming Today article was probably my best piece. Put so much time into it. And then actually, after the fight was over, everyone wanted to go. There was a couple after. I went to the press room. I could have stayed in there the whole time. Pretty cool, the after press thing. I just didn't go. I said, you know what? I'm going. I can literally almost, walk home from there. So, but I went home and like I said, I didn't go to the press parties. I got invited to two of them, and I just went home and just sat in my pool and just thought about literally reflecting on my years in the city and how lucky I was.
You got a good life, man.
No, it's not that. Listen, trust me. I go home and take the clown makeup off at night. It's not all fun and games.
Yeah.
So, but you're sitting there, and literally, I was like, Jesus, people fly from all over the world to go right there, that building right there. All right, you could see it from my condo, from my high rise, and I'm like, it's just pretty lucky, pretty fortunate, and I just wrote an article about it, and I'm glad I remained to my same roots, and I'm the same guy there is. I'm the same guy that drives a Kia. People want to make fun of that. Some guy, a couple idiots made fun of that on Twitter. I'm the same guy. Yeah. Listen.
Oh, that you drive a Kia?
Well, I bought a new one though. It's the greatest deal. You get 100,000-mile warranty. By the way, the new Telluride is unbelievable.
Listen, people who make fun of that, by the way, it says more about them.
I could drive any car I want. I choose to drive.
By the way, I know a lot of very successful gamblers who who drive very low-key cars.
Yeah, and it's not that this is even low-key. I mean, it's 43 grand, but I mean,
we just don't
someone said something last week. It's like, oh, Vegas Dave is driving and you're driving a Kia. Yeah, great. Wonderful. Yes, I am. It's the positive EV of 100,000-mile warranty on a Korean-made car. Sorry, sir.
I think it's time to tell my LL Cool J story from back in the day.
I love him, by the way.
When LL Cool J was a rapper only, wasn't really an actor yet, but he was an established rapper. He had some success already, a few albums in, so people knew who he was.
Okay.
So he told a story where he drove up to a red light in L.A. in his Honda. It's a random car, right? And I think he'd even had, I may be embellishing this part, but it might have even been like the mechanical roll-up windows.
Wow.
I might have embellished that part. But anyway, it's just a very low-key car. He rolls up into a red light in L.A. And next to him, four kids who were in this just fledgling hip-hop group who had like their first taste of success because they were like one-hit wonders, but they were right in the middle of that hit, and they thought they were the greatest things ever. And they see that LL Cool J is next to them at the stoplight in this very lame car compared to the totally jacked car they've got with all the amenities, and they start laughing at LL Cool J. To which LL Cool J rolls down his window and says to them, "Yeah, I'm the dumb one."
Wow. Yeah. Dexy's Midnight Runners. They're funny, aren't they?
I don't believe it was Dexy's Midnight Runners.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I figured we had to throw that in there.
I love that Bill knows Dexy's Midnight
Runners. Of course I do.
What were they?
Come On Eileen.
Come On Eileen.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Come On Eileen?
Right. Or Hey Mickey.
Let me tell you
Tony Basil.
I believe it's Tony Basil. Yes.
Tony Basil. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Tell me when Come On Eileen doesn't come on. A little
Absolutely.
Little part of you doesn't go, "Oh, this is a jam."
Oh, I love alternative music. Anyway, 80s alternative. That's great stuff. Flock of Seagulls. I mean, I love that stuff.
I could just do 80s MTV with Bill Krackomberger.
Yeah.
All right. So it's late July, which is sort of like the dead spot of the sports betting calendar, but football is on the horizon, sir. NFL preseason. I had Warren Sharp on yesterday. Our buddy Warren Sharp was on the show.
How'd he do?
He's, oh man, for fantasy yesterday, gold.
Really?
Some of the stuff that he shared with us, gold.
Excellent.
And Warren, as you know better than I do, he's being pulled in all kinds of different directions now.
Yes, he's definitely being pulled.
You think we might still be able to get him on this year?
I'm sure he'll come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you?
I'll give him a half hour.
He'll give him a half hour on the show.
He's getting pulled. Did he talk anything about
systematically?
NFL?
We're getting rid of everybody. Just me and you.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
he's
Evan,
gone. There's nothing anyone could do.
Evan, you're gone. Warren will give you a half hour. He couldn't really give season win totals because he hasn't bet them yet.
He hasn't given me any.
Yeah.
And last year he gave me like Buffalo under 7 and went to 6.
Remember? By this time,
Yeah, I didn't get anything. And I sent them all this season because he can't see them. A lot of them you could see across the country using their apps. You could see like all of the Westgates. You could see like different ones. But I
see DraftKings from here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you could see. But you can't. He couldn't see like Cantors. So I sent them Cantors copies of them. And just to show him what's going on. But he hasn't. I'm telling you, after writing that book, after betting, did he talk about any of the NFL teams? Not the actual team names, but he's working for a couple different teams.
He told us that he was.
Yeah,
I did not pry.
Yeah, he wouldn't tell you.
Yeah, he wouldn't tell on air. The way I asked it was the opposite. I said, "What teams, are the least analytical of all time?" And Jeff said, "Well, why don't you ask him the other?" I said, "Because the other one would have been a tell. He would have told us exactly who he's working for." But
isn't everyone using analytics though?
No,
really?
I mean, the Redskins, who might have been the last holdout, just hired an analytics guy. Like, they just learned the word last week.
Right.
And they're like, oh, maybe we should hire somebody, and then, of course, fire him a year from now because we won't get it, and I'm just telling you what's going to happen.
Yeah, sure. And
that
one of the best. I love one of the best baseball movies. I love Moneyball. So.
Oh yeah.
And then
the book.
Yeah, you said that.
Phenomenal.
So the book was phenomenal.
It was life changing for me. I mean, it's a great book.
Yeah.
But the movie was solid.
Yeah, and so that is kind of brought it to the a light. I cast a light on it, and it's amazing that all these teams are using it. And in the end. I love to know who the analytics guys are. I love to know if they're really who they say, if they're really a Warren Sharp. I like to know if, like, Washington hired a guy that just said he was an analytics, showed some charts and graphs, or he really is on the level and put the homework in that Warren Sharp did. This could be like, these guys that scream and yell about selling games. Who knows? It could be the same kind of thing as far as analytics go. Maybe they send these, puffed up resumes and, throw a pair of glasses on
and I'm always amused. So there's always a section out there when they hear the word analytics, they're like, that doesn't win NFL games. That guy nerd with thing. Well, look, and Aaron Schatz and I, Aaron Schatz is on the show next week from Football Outsiders. We talk about this a lot. When you say you're an analytics guy, right? The human being reaction for whatever reason, because this is how our dumb brains are wired, is like, oh, all he cares about is analytics and nothing else. No, you win. With analytics, analytics is just going to give you like a little edge on the margins, right? But it's just, you should be looking for every little possible edge if you're a pro football organization or any organization by using every tool that you have available to you. So all we're saying is any organization that just purposefully is like, I don't need to hear about that. Well, you're just not even trying. I'm not saying it should take over your organization, but just be open to the possibility this could give you an edge.
Sure.
So, Warren is, he said multiple. He said teams, plural. I won't say multiple, but teams, plural. Could be 2, could be 5. I don't know. But, good for him, man.
Yeah, he'll be on. We give out some, some good information last year, too. So I'm sure Warren will be on Thursdays. That'll be great.
So what are you betting on then here in late July?
Some baseball still. Some, just kind of doing some other little things. Nothing. Golf. I bet 4 golf matchups.
In the Open Championship?
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, how did we overlook this? I'm sure Monday morning you must have talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Casey Kerr was on last week with us.
Casey Kerr. We played it first thing Monday morning.
God, I mean, it's unbelievable that he comes on and he says verbatim. Now, granted, he had a couple different golfers he picked. You're allowed to do that.
Yes, but
especially when you're picking 100 to 1 shots, you're allowed to do that.
But then he stopped
the
mid-sentence.
Sleeper.
Yeah, he goes, wait. He did. He goes, the sleeper
is Shane Lowry.
Yeah,
I mean, he goes, I'll tell you the sleeper is Shane Lowry. So, I mean, it's amazing that you could just walk out to the sportsbook here. I think it was 65 to 1 here, but I seen it as high as 100 to 1. So, and there was a ticket posted on the internet of 105 to 1 down at the Circa. So, I mean, it's not every day that you bring a 33-year career golfer on, golf caddy on, and he picks. And I was actually like that after he won the tournament. I text you, and I'm like, Gill, no one even talked about Casey giving out this 100.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're 100% right, because you know who also forgot about it? I did. Right. I didn't remember that he said it.
Oh wow, that's why I sent you the clip.
Yeah, no, right? You did. Yeah, and then, I tweeted it. I was like, oh, I forgot he said it.
And I retweeted it. Yeah. And by the way, that clip got almost 13,000 hits. I looked at it.
Yeah.
That you tweeted out.
Yeah.
I mean, 13,000 hits. That's pretty cool for a 25-second clip.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, good to Casey. And Casey called me up, of course, right away. Oh, I should have showed you the picture. I'm going to show you. There's a picture of Casey and Darren Clark that he sent me. So it's like, oh, you're talking to Darren, huh? Yeah. But so he sent. But this picture was taken ahead of time. I said, Case, don't be sending me pictures of you and Darren that you took 2 weeks ago. I want to know if you. And I didn't realize this. Casey slept at his house. I'm just like, Jesus. Oh boy.
Darren Clark, who was smoking his way through that through the 4 rounds on the golf course, just chilling. But just another one of Bill Krackomberger and friends, the cast of characters that he brings on a numbers game. Casey Kerr, Warren Sharp, Teddy Atlas.
Hey, by the way, the kid Paul that was on that we brought on.
Yes.
He said that Finau was one of his guys.
Tony Finau, that's right.
And a couple. And then he gave me a couple matchups. They all won. I actually bet 1,000 on each of his stuff. I just took a shot, and I didn't know until after the tournament. I had no idea how he was doing even. I seen I won 3,100. I was like, wow. And I called him, and I said, "You're pretty humble. You didn't even say nothing to me." So he won all those matchups too. So it was a successful weekend. That was good.
Yeah.
And then to go to the fight and stuff. Oh God, what a weekend in Vegas. Just another weekend in Vegas. I mean, think about it. How many of your listeners or viewers would love to be in Vegas? And I take it, I'm sure you do too. I take it, I just like it's no big deal. Like, I don't realize how lucky and fortunate we are and how blessed we are to live in this city and to be able to go to an event like that, be able to get a phone call. I know a lot of high rolling whale guys, so
but you're good at stopping every once in a while and appreciating it, taking a moment to appreciate it.
You have to.
I said to Jeff Parles, producer number 5, young Jeff Parles over here, young Kevin Harlan, by the way. I said to him, I go, you know what I appreciate about you, Jeff? How much you're enjoying living in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, I love seeing him enjoy it as well, so I can live vicariously, not vicariously, but just seeing it in somebody else too.
Yeah. For some reason, guys in that seat seem to leave a lot, though.
Well,
I mean, leave town. So
leave town.
I was thinking more you were like a dictator or something. Like, what do you do to these guys?
Producer number 5. The history of the previous producers, everybody has gone on to something else. Matt Jones in Tampa, Jorge working locally here, Lamborn back in Arizona, and then I don't know about Brett. But, I'm just going to step out here on a limb and say Jeff Parles is going to move on to bigger and better things here real soon, too.
You're going to or not going to?
I'm just going to predict that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Bill Krackomberger, more with him right here on A Numbers Game at VSiN. Coming back.
It's A Numbers Game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiN Live.
Some of what you missed.
I mean, what was your low? How bummed were you at that moment? Were you just super dejected, or were you okay with it?
It's a funny story. So when right after the taping finished, and I kind of had to go sign my forms to collect my second place money, one of the producers came up to me and she gave me a hug, and she actually started crying because she said she had never seen anyone play the game so beautifully before, and I had to kind of pat her on the back and comfort her.
That's amazing.
Experience was ending.
Wow.
But I would say it was kind of a bittersweet moment. Obviously, I wasn't happy to lose, but at the same time, it was getting a little stressful going back there every week, and I was kind of like I had put this achievement, checked it off the bucket list.
Your thoughts on this hire, because there's a lot of folks who certainly we respect on our side of the counter with a pretty strong opinion on the Mountaineers this year.
I like the hire. I don't like what's going to happen this season. I almost get the feeling that Holgorsen saw rough waters ahead and left for Houston because of that. They got very few starters back. Several guys transferred out. I think this is going to be a tough season in Morgantown. I actually be surprised if they win 4 or 5 games even.
If you're a 49er fan, the Richard Sherman interception as you're getting ready to score that puts Seattle in the Super Bowl, right? That play call was not supposed to be called from that hash mark. They wanted to run that play from the right hash. They ran it from the left. Big mistake. When they sent the play in, the coaches in the box screamed, wrong hash. Everybody said, okay. They worked all week long on running that double move, Crabtree, against Brian Maxwell, not against Richard Sherman. Wow. So the margin of going to the Super Bowl came down to a hash mark being the ball on the wrong side and the play getting run in. And that's the difference, that thin line between what's successful and what isn't.
Well, it kind of goes back to what you said a segment ago in terms of, Robert Griffin III. He sits there and he sees how the Patriots are working, but they don't want to do it. Everybody in life always says, hey, they want to be successful.
Nobody wants to do the work.
That's exactly right. Are you willing to do
those details? It's like the secret. Marcus Aurelius is quoted as saying, the secret to all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious. The non-obvious is what determines games.
Back to a numbers game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Now, I know we talk about sports betting here on the show, a numbers game at VSiN, but there was like how could I put this? Well, you tell me if this is a good comparison. There was a Mayweather-McGregor type of event in non-sports betting gaming that just occurred, and Krackman was all into it. What was this?
I get a call from Atlantic City. This is like Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. I get a call and he says, hey, they have these full pay deuce machines, video poker down at downtown Grand. And I said, okay, thanks. My buddy Frank, who actually got me into sports betting back in the early 90s. He's like, it's a really good game. I said, I remember full pay deuces, but I haven't seen it in 20 years. And I seen it in some quarters, which wouldn't really be worth it. It's just $1.25 hand. But he said it's in $2 level, and there's some multi-play games. You could play more than one line. And I'm like, wow, that's unbelievable. Full pay deuces, multi-play. Because I know it was over 100. I didn't know the number because I don't see the game anymore. It's 100.7%. So they're actually giving you 0.7% with basic strategy, which is pretty simple, actually. So it's a pretty simple strategy on that game. So Now I kind of ignored it, though, because I was like, it's so tough to sit and play video poker sessions. Well, now Randy McKay, one of the sharpest in the world, texts me.
VSiN fan of the year?
Yes. So now Randy texts me, and Randy doesn't even know the other guy, and he says, listen, I might be flying in. I heard they have full pay deuces. Now I paid attention. When Randy said it, now I actually went down there and I actually took a picture. It was like, wow.
And he lives up in the Dakotas somewhere, right?
Yeah. The Ozarks. I don't know. He's up there somewhere.
Ozarks.
Yeah. So he tells me, so I go there. And it's the who's who of the advantage world playing these machines. I walk in, and it's 50 machines. It's not like it's 2 machines. The 2 5 plays, of course, are the great ones. The actual return is unbelievable. For someone that plays 600 hands an hour to someone that plays 1,000 hands an hour, you play pretty fast. Like I play pretty fast. The return on investment is going to be like $600 an hour on that 5 play. I never got on it, by the way.
And for those uninitiated, what would be normal? A normal game.
A normal game, you're going to lose. You're going to lose $50 an hour.
Okay. And this is again.
Yeah, this is a video poker game that you're actually going to make that much. Even the single lines, there was plenty of open machines, even when I was there. Listen, when you see Bob Dancer somewhere too, which he was there. So now you got Bob. Just know if Bob's playing, he's like me with sports. He's not playing just to have fun and enjoy himself. He's playing because there's a mathematical edge.
So 2 questions before you continue.
Yeah.
The Grand is doing this why? For promotion?
Probably to maybe pump up the volume. Maybe they're going to maybe they're going to sale. Maybe they're for sale and they want to show new investors about the volume. I don't know. That would be kind of a little bit.
And question number 2 would be, how hush hush was this kept among you?
It was very hush hush. I couldn't say anything. I was sworn to secrecy. Yeah, so I didn't say anything. I sat down there and I ran ridiculously lucky. I mean, I had some guys that were there watching me that were sitting next to me. I mean, I threw out, and for anyone who knows video poker, you get 5 cards, you get an option to hold, and then you throw them away. I got dealt, in this deuces game, sometimes you throw the whole hand away. Like ace queen suited, you don't hold in deuces wild. You throw that away. So literally, I threw the whole hand away and got dealt, which is called a redraw royal, which is ridiculous. It's
wow,
it's like 800,000 to 1. And by the way, I also hit. My brother was in town, and my brother doesn't even gamble that much, and he sat next to me, and we hit another royal. I bankrolled us, and we hit deuces 5 times. So we hit deuces 5. Deuces is the main thing you want to get to $2,000 each time. I hit deuces 5 times, 2 royals, and I'm saying I can't believe how good I'm running here, up over 20 grand. Playing on $2 video poker. I'm like, wow, I won like 20 grand up. So now, of course, I'm king of the world now. Oh, this is easy. Of course. I don't know anyone works.
20. Why can't 20 be 40?
So of course I go back down and now I'm putting sessions in. I mean I'm putting 5-10 hour I literally put not 5 10-hour ones. I'm saying I put 5 to 10 hours. And now I played literally like 7 hours the first night. 5 hours the second night, and I would get home like 4 in the morning. I'm not used to doing this. Now, in the old days, I used to stay out late, but it's like I had so much pain when I got home. I had to jump in a jacuzzi. I'm putting like Ben Gay on. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Because you're sitting in a chair all day.
Plus, I'm giving back. By the way, I gave back half the money. Of course. So now I'm up 10,500. I get home, and then I'm like, God, this is a terrible way to live. Imagine if you lost. I mean, it's like playing poker. I said I would never do this.
This is a terrible
way to live.
I say it all the time as a sports bettor who walks by poker rooms.
Right.
I act like I'm a doctor or something, right? There's a little part in my brain, I think I've said this on air before, a little part in my head every time I walk by a poker room where I go, oh, those miserable people. Like, I can't even imagine grinding for all those hours.
Listen, I'm giving too much away of my article for next week. I'm going to write about this next week in Gaming Today.
Okay.
This is what I'm writing about. This was such a tough thing to do. I could imagine if I would have lost how I would have felt.
Oh.
But I ran, and by the way, I don't know one single person that was there, and I talked to at least 7 or 8. I don't know anyone that lost. Everyone won. It's almost impossible to lose on the 5 plays when you're getting you're getting literally $500 to $600 an hour. It's impossible to lose on them long term. So, but you don't know how long this is going to last. So now they. By the way, Las Vegas Chris, put a tweet up about it. He took a picture, like going right down the aisle of all the sharp guys. It's kind of funny.
That must be how this sounds familiar to me, because that's the picture that I have in my mind. There's 2 rows of machines.
All the sharp. By the way, it was more than that, but he took those rows. He got that picture somehow of all the sharp guys in town, and it was kind of funny to see that picture. And that did bring a lot of people down because it was packed after that picture.
So you're mad at Chris after that?
I wasn't. I don't care. I was actually looking to leave. I was looking for an excuse to get out of there. I mean, I hit a royal. I'm looking. The picture came out after I hit my first royal, so I was looking to kind of get out of there too, because it's painful. People are smoking. The music they play on the weekends. I took a video of it. I can't believe that they have a DJ in there and it's bump bum bum bum. I mean, you couldn't even. You had to like, oh my god, like there's so many.
It's like Hakkasan in there.
Oh my god, I couldn't believe it. So I don't. They advertise full pay deuces too on the machines, on the boards. So now they come in the second day and they took our points away. No more points, guys. So that's about $20 an hour earned.
Okay.
You can't get points anymore for playing those machines.
You're okay with that at that point?
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's still $80 an hour.
Yeah.
So they took your points away. Now they lowered the denominations from 2 to 1.
There we go.
Now it's like $40 an hour, and that's when I kind of stopped. I did go on Sunday to have lunch there, and I played a little bit. I hit 4 deuces. I won $700. So
silly question for those who don't play these games who are listening. Are you? Is it the culture of such things that you can just sit there forever? It doesn't matter. There's no you can't be. There's hey sir, after 4 hours we'd like you to. No, you can sit there forever.
Right. They have a right to of course change the games and.
Sure, but they can't remove you from your seat.
No, the 5-play game, they actually came in when the guys were playing it, and they said, guys, we're going to make this triple play only. So they made a triple play. They went from a $2 5-play, which is $50 a hand, to a triple play $1. Still worth about $120 an hour, though. And, that things just fell apart there. But it's amazing how that circle of guys.
From around the country.
When I see guys like... I probably shouldn't say, but Eddie team. When I see Eddie teams down there, I know Eddie's one of the sharpest guys like Randy. If Eddie's playing something, you can guarantee, brother. I respect Eddie's play. When I see Eddie, I respect him more than anyone else in the business, including Dancer. So I seen him down there on that 5-play machine. Of course, he got the 5-play. And they go in sessions now. So it's funny. So one guy, I'll go to the next guy. So here's how it works. Because they asked me if I wanted to be on it the last day for the dollar triple play. I was burnt out by then, though. I was very nice of them to actually talk to me and ask me if I wanted to take over an 8 to 10 hour session. That's what happens. You get a session, you get a session, you get a session. So this way, they never have a chance to lose the machine. They call their buddies, and they're all partners too. So they have literally, let's call it a slot team. So. There was a girl on there. It's one of the sharpest. There was I knew there's an Asian crew. The Asian guys, these particular guys, they're as sharp as can be. They're it's funny though. They smoke so much they actually smoked me out of the place. Those guys smoked me out. I literally moved one night and I left the machine.
Smoke them out. That was their strategy.
And so I moved. I went to another bank of machines and I lost like $2,000 and I went home blaming them. I said those rotten bastards. They got me. It's not them. It's just a random number generator. But you look to blame. It can't be me. I got to look to blame somebody.
Perhaps we should wrap up this discussion at this point.
Yeah,
could go off the rails. In the end, how many total hours did you personally play?
At minimum 30 hours.
Over how long of a span?
6 days. It was a job.
Wow.
It's a sickness too, though. It's actually a sickness.
I'm sick hearing it.
You think, oh my God, this is worth so much an hour, and the casino's giving you money, and the casino's my enemy. I mean, they're kryptonite. I'm going after them. You know what I mean? So it's just it's the advantage play. Even though when it went down to dollars, I said I am not playing anymore. I'm done playing.
This is not rich enough for my blood.
And then I still went Sunday. It's so crazy. Yeah. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go get a comp there, go eat, and then I'll play some video poker. And I sat there and I'm playing by myself now. My buddy left, who I met there, and I'm saying, God, I just said I wasn't going to play these dollars. Why am I even here? For a dollar. But
what'd your girl say to you after all this?
Well, yeah, she noticed that. She noticed. One night I came home smelling like smoke.
Yeah.
So she knew that.
They're trying to smoke me out.
Yeah, and now I'm going to bed 5, 6 in the morning when the sun's coming up. I don't remember doing that. It feels terrible. It's terrible because I can't. I'm telling you that the whole experience. Thank God I won about $11,000 because I honestly would have been sick.
Right.
Thinking that if you lose money, but
you could justify it that way.
Everyone I spoke to won too. So that was fun. Just an advantage, another gambling advantage story here in Las Vegas.
When do you think the next time you'll see something like
Probably
that?
Not. You won't see I can't see deuces again unless it's a 100.7 game. Now listen, you can go to stations and you can play 100% games. So they do have them. By the way, there's opportunities at South Point once in a while when you have a game that like they have these deuces wild game here. It's probably my favorite deuces game they have here. They have lots of them too. It's a 99.72 game. But when you throw in gift cards or Walmart cards or something like that, it's actually worth playing, believe it or not. So,
Bill Krackomberger. I'll close with this question or with this comment. Thanks so much for the call, Bill. Appreciate you letting me in on it.
Oh, yeah. No problem. Oh, no, you wouldn't like to do that.
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't want my enemies doing that.
Dude, I wouldn't.
It's a terrible way to. It's like poker. You're right. It's a hard way to make an easy living.
That's right. I would not have come. You're right. I would not have. For whatever, whether that's a stupid move or not, I probably wouldn't have. Coming back, Jeff Parles' baseball pick of the day. It's a numbers game right here at VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiNLive.
We didn't touch upon Stanford, a team that's always a challenger in the Pac-12, but I think this is going to be a down year. They lose a ton of talent. One of my favorite players in college football last year, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, he's gone. I'm not going to discount, though, the job that their coaching staff does there.
Yeah, what they are the outliers, right? So everybody's running spread, and they're in two tight ends running the ball, and their pad level's down. And so to get ready to play them, right, to get ready to play Stanford, you're a school that you're Arizona, and you're in spread all the time. How do you get your defense ready to play Stanford? You have no real players on your team that can show you what the offense looks like in a real concise manner and an effective manner. So they're the outlier. They are New England. New England became this last year. Who was running the football? And I think that's the big thing. I'm just not in love with KJ Costello. I mean, I know people have him as the second best. I don't. I mean, I think there's some issues with his accuracy, and I do think it'll be a down year. It'll be interesting to see where David is with this program right now.
Yeah, I agree.
David Shaw, I meant.
One of my favorite things about Stanford, they're like the service academies. You can always guarantee they're not going to get dumb penalties.
Yeah, that's right. Smart players.
Absolutely right.
Hey, everybody, it's Paulie from VEASAN. How many of you have something that hurts, like on your body? Right now, I've got this thing with my back, an old-timer, bugging the hell out of me. I heard about this stuff called Voodoo Pain Relief Cream, and I'm thinking, okay, what's this all about? Did some research, checked it out. Good, real good. Patented formula must mean something good. 11 anti-inflammatory ingredients. Sounds like a lot. Nanotechnology. No idea what that is. Must be good. Read the testimonials. Off the charts good. So I thought this might be BS, but I'll give it a shot. And what do you know? Boom, jackpot. What a move this was, trying Voodoo Pain Relief Cream. My God, my back feels better already. Now listen to me. I know everyone has something bothering them. Joint pain, arthritis pain, muscle pain. Do you want to feel better? Get this stuff now. Text Paulie to 246-810 right now, and you'll get a special deal. Just text my name, Paulie, with a Y, to 246-810, and you'll get all the details. Text Paulie to 246-810.
Back to a numbers game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
The crew over at Caesars, by the way, today, posting NBA season win totals. Ooh. Jeff Davis, our buddy Matt Lindemann in his final days over there at Caesars, posting NBA season win totals at Caesars today. So going out with a bang there. You bet those? You don't touch those, do you?
Sometimes, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Where's is Matt going to Circa?
He made it public the other day.
They'll eventually all leave there. I mean,
well,
if the plans of El Dorado, come through,
yes,
yeah, they'll bring their own staff and
whether by their own design or otherwise.
Yep. That's a shame too. They're losing good guys. They're gonna, Jeff and there's another guy there. I don't know if he wants his name mentioned, so I'm not gonna say it. But they got some really good guys there. So it'll be a shame if they lose those guys.
Jeff's entrenched there for a little while anyway.
Cool.
Jeff Parles, ladies and gentlemen. Producer number 5. Forgot where we were going. Producer number 5, short baseball slate days. Getaway Thursday. 9 games in Major League Baseball, 2 in the daytime. Where are you going, sir?
We're going with a pass for the second time this week. A very eventful pick. Again, I'll stay.
Boy, that was exciting.
I'll stay with that lean that I said before.
Okay.
I'll lean with that under in the first 5 in Mets Padres at 4 with DeGrom and Lauer.
First pitch in less than 15 minutes.
Yes, less than 15 minutes from now. That's a lean, but you can't bet on the Mets to do anything at this point, even in the DeGrom day. So if anything, under in the first 5 innings with DeGrom out there. As we outlined in the beginning of the show, DeGrom has been unbelievable, even though he's under 500.
Takes a sharp guy, though, to pass.
Yes.
So just to let you know, it does. It takes a sharp guy to pass and be able to pass. And even though Jeff left the phone on when Teddy Atlas called last week, and after I said, don't leave the phone on,
we buried
and then I got a text back from Teddy, did you just give out Pacquiao?
We totally buried the headline today.
It took you a whole hour.
It took me a whole hour.
I was like, does he want to talk about this?
No, real quick, I'll tell you. So after
you got 30 seconds.
We thought Teddy was off air. I said, I actually asked, is Teddy off? And he said, yeah. And I said, Pacquiao was the good value when the line came out, and I think that's a good. Teddy was on the phone. He texted me 20 minutes later. So nice. You have. I heard. The phone was on. I heard what you said. And by the way, I heard what you said about the guy throwing him out of my house. Oh my God.
So what was the first thing you said to Jeff this morning when you walked in?
Oh, I said, are we friends? Do you not like me? Did you do it purposely?
Poor Jeff was terrified.
I was like, what?
Yeah. Do you like me? Are we friends?
He said, I heard what you say about throwing the guy out of my house. I said, okay. I said, Ted, it was a funny story. I kind of laughed it off.
Teddy will bounce back.
Yeah.
Bill, thank you, man, as always. Appreciate it. Bill Krackomberger, Michael Lombardi. If you missed Mitch and Paulie, they're next right here at VEASAN. Enjoy.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiN Live.